So there was this plague, the Black Plague. Remember that one? Struck Europe, like in the Renaissance, medieval times, wiped out like half the European population. Well, it happened before that in the middle sixth century, late sixth century. So like five something something. Yeah, the Justinian's plague. Justinian being the emperor that I kind of talked back a while ago, my HBO pitch. Justinian Theodore. Well, anyway, during his fantastic time being an emperor, in charge of Constantinople and the other provinces he conquered, this disease popped up out of nowhere. Um, Researchers, carbon dated the infected bodies and the bones that were left over like millions of years ago. Right, not millions of years ago, but you know, thousands of years ago. And supposedly this strain, and the one that affected the Renaissance Europe, came from Asia, like China, parts of Central Asia like Kazakhstan, uh, and kind of trickled down. I think because of trade, a lot of merchants that buy and sell stuff, in that part of the country, ship it down either through it was called the Silk Road, but I don't think it was up and running yet, or maybe it was. But yeah, I talked about that too, and how strange viruses got attached to nomads, buying and selling different merchants and selling stuff and goods, infecting people along the way. So this kind of probably happened there. People were, selling and trading stuff in Asia, brought it down to Europe, and so on and so forth. Anyway, the root of this virus took place in, like North Africa, Egypt, made its way to the shores of the Eastern Mediterranean. So think of like, the coast of the Middle East, like Lebanon, Beirut. Um, yeah, all around that, probably parts of Italy too. And then it hit the capital of Constantinople and decimated it. I mean, thousands of people got sick and died. One historian at the time was like, oh my God, this is catastrophic. What could have brought this on? So he had to rationalize it, right? And back then, people were like super duper religious, and they're like, demons. They're like, it's caused by demons. If they only knew about science. I mean, they did know about science, but not quite. Um, I'll get to my point why I'm talking about this, and why I think this would make a great film or movie or book, whatever. You know, um, so made its way to Constantinople, the Eastern Roman Empire, and he'd even struck Justinian. I mentioned this in another video. Dude went to a coma. His wife kind of had to take charge for a little bit, but he snapped out of it. So yay him, good for him. But a lot of people didn't make it out. So this historian type, probably gonna butcher his name, Procopius, probably totally messed that up, but he had to rationalize it, like I said, and make sense of the whole thing. So he wrote this big description. You could read it online about the effects, causes, and effects, and you could even check out what it does to your body. I'll wait. Crazy stuff, right? um, so yeah, like I said, he had to kind of make sense of this whole mess, this whole disease. Um, yeah, demons. You know, um, he mentioned something about strange apparitions, like in the air would come down and attack people, infect them, or demons will wait outside their house, call their name, try to lure people out and infect them that way, or they would wake up and see this demonic entity, and maybe possess them, maybe not, and cause the infection that way. So that's what I'm getting at. Evil. That's what this historian Procopius was saying. This was definitely had to be caused by evil. What just and loving God would cause this to happen, right? So they kind of figured, oh, this is the work of the devil or whatever. But probably it was a bunch of rats that were infected by fleas. They got off of Egypt, went onto a boat docked in Eastern Europe, and boom, there you go. Most like how a lot of plagues started. and probably merchants too. People that, like I was saying before, buying and selling stuff. Hygiene wasn't really that big back then. So I mean, it was and it wasn't. So you could easily see why this was super contagious. Uh, yeah, things kind of pushed that empire back to the Dark Ages again, and didn't quite destroy it, but it wasn't as prosperous as much. Like I said, half the population in and around that area was decimated, and led it open for future attacks that continued to break down the empire. Um, Now, my point is, this would make great TV. I mean, come on. Once again, I can't make this stuff up. This all happened. People assumed, this was the work of, demonic entities. They were attacking them in the streets. Obviously, we weren't there, so we have to rely on this guy who wrote it down. But like I said, it would make great TV or movies. I don't know. I think anyway, it hasn't really touched that much. I mean, the plague has been probably mentioned or showcased in different movies and time periods, but I mean, Byzantium, come on, it's new. I've tried many a times actually to write, maybe not a novel but a script, but I got so much going on right now. It's hard for my brain to process writing again at the moment. I don't have writer's block. I just have a hard time writing and getting up here onto, Word or whatever program I use to write. So, but those guys, you guys, who are, aspiring writers or whatever, go ahead, go crazy, explore this part of the world that hasn't been explored before, and use that as a backdrop. I was going to have one of the characters from Byzantium travel to the desert. Not much happens there, and see all sorts of crazy stuff. Was he going crazy? Was the desert heat messing with his mind, or were these sightings of demons and monsters real? What about zombies, huh? Zombies in Byzantium. I know there's a book out there, but like I said, it hasn't really been brought to the big screen. This could be someone's opportunity. Zombies in Eastern Europe. Yeah, medieval stuff. Like instead of guns, they had knives and swords. Just killing hordes of the undead. Come on, guys. That's like B movie greatness right there. I was gonna have this all in the backdrop of the plague and the source of the plague, but that's just me. That's what I would have wrote. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm gesturing a lot. I'm Italian. That's what happens. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that, and I just wanted to kind of enlighten you guys. Tell you guys about it because I think it makes great storytelling, and history is full of this stuff. And if you know what to look for, or if you're just browsing, I'm telling you, it's endless material you could use for film, a book if you're a novelist or whatever, you're a writer, or you want to break into screenwriting, open with that. Some medieval or Renaissance-y stuff. People don't touch period pieces anymore because they're afraid to. I guess it's all about modern age. Take it back, because back then horror was real. Trust me. And people were superstitious, and you could get away with a lot of stuff back then as opposed to today. You had to follow guidelines. Back then, I feel like people were more gullible and had excuse to fill their minds with stuff, make them afraid. And that's just my take on it. I think that would make great TV and movies and books. So be my guest. If you guys need inspiration, watch this video again and again, and or do research yourself. In fact, I'll leave a link at the bottom of this so you can read about this horrific plague and how it affected this empire. Instead of a physical enemy, nearly crippling them, you had germs. And their doctors and medicine, once again, just wasn't really up to standard as it is today. Where something is as curable as the plague is today, back then, not so much. So, there you go. and it was just widespread. It really had to burn itself out to stop killing people. So that just to show you the impact. And, people, without an excuse to actually know about science enough to where it came from, they started envisioning stuff. Or maybe it was the fever boiling their brains and made them see monsters. I don't know. But anyway, like I said, if I had the time, I would write a 100-page book or script on this, but I just don't. I mean, I might still, I don't know. But for those guys wanting to break into the field, there, I just set you up with a nice plot. You're welcome. Alright, guys, so that's kind of like a pseudo history lesson slash idea, and what I think would be great, script to screen. Start with the Justinian Plague. You won't regret it, I promise. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you got something out of this, and I don't know, if you're interested, do some research yourself. This isn't hard, I love history as a category. It's my thing, but I mean, you guys might like a different time period, or, different country altogether, There's plenty of stuff to find out there that's great, material, source material, and full of ideas. It all starts with ancient history. So do yourself a favor. Pick up a book, research on Google, and, learn something. It's pretty graphic and definitely visually exciting, too. That's just my, way of thinking. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.